Write an indirect proof to show that the square root of 18 is not 3 root 6. What the crap is an indirect proof, you ask? Well, let's first assume, the opposite of the conclusion here. Conclusion. I don't even know if that's spelled right. What's the conclusion? That's the conclusion. The second part of what you're trying to prove. Let's assume the opposite. In other words, to do this problem, we're going to assume that the square root of 18 is 3 root 6. Then what we do is we do some work, whatever work we have to do, and arrive at a contradiction. What's a contradiction, you ask? It's a lie. Basically, your girlfriend is all like, you talking to girls, and you all like, no, I'm not. And then she like, let me see your snap. And you're like, oh, all right. And then you hand over your phone and she like, I'm going to assume that you're telling the truth, but I'm going to check your phone anyway. And she look at your phone and she slides into your DMs and she sees that all these other girls are sliding into your DMs. So her assumption that you were telling the truth is wrong. Therefore, you are lying, and therefore you are talking to girls and looks like you're finding yourself a new girlfriend. What we're doing is we're going to assume the opposite. Find out that the opposite is wrong and say, well, that's wrong, so therefore the original statement that we are given was true. Okay? So one more time, we're going to assume the opposite of this. We're going to do some math and find out that that's not right, which means if the math doesn't work out, they can't be equal. Therefore, this can't equal that. So let's try it. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it the old college try. Okay. Now, as with all of my proofs and paragraph proofs, just because it's the way I write it doesn't mean it's the only way. It's just a way that is correct. All right. So let's assume that the square root of 18 is 3 times the square root of 6. Well, I know from a math teacher named Mick Parrish, the math teacher that the square root of 18 can be broken down to the square root of 2 times 3 times 3. And you can rip out a group of 3s, and you are left with 3 times the square root of 2. Wait a minute. Root 18 is supposed to be 3 root 6. We just found out that root 18 is actually, and let me write it out so it looks a little bit better, root 18 is actually 3 root 2. Okay, so I'll say that. But we assumed this, but root 18 is actually 3 root 2. Therefore, root 18 can't be 3 root 6. So we'll say that. Root 18 cannot be equal to 3 root 6. And we're done. That's our indirect proof. We assume that the opposite of that occurs. We find out that our assumption is wrong. Therefore, since our assumption is wrong, the original assumption must be right. Indirect proof. All about you cheating on your girlfriend or boyfriend.